well. So I'm here today hopefully to be an encouragement to you, a support system to you, your biggest cheerleader, and to let you know, as overwhelming as it can feel sometimes, it is the best decision that you can make. Promise. Alright, so the plan for today, we're going to do a little bit of an introduction. I'm going to give a little insight. From there, we're going to go into 5 categories. I'm going to guess that most of us obviously are here because we are homeschooling younger children, but also I feel like sometimes we can just group newer homeschoolers in with that as well. And I tend to find that most of us fall into like 1 of 5 categories, and that can change at any given moment. We don't necessarily stay stuck in each one, but you will find yourselves during the course of this time possibly finding yourselves in one of these categories. And we're going to go over what those categories are. And then we are going to get an opportunity to kind of work together in a group. So if you are an introvert like me, I apologize in advance, but I promise you it'll be worth it. And it won't be too long, and hopefully you'll get a lot out of it. We will come back together to do some share outs, and then I hope we have enough time to wrap up, and I want to leave some time for questions and answers. If for some reason this feels rushed, and there's things that you were wondering about or concerned about, and I didn't get to you at all, if you look right at the entranceway, you see the QR code that says scan here to join my Facebook group. I have a Facebook group that I started to kind of be like a digital community for homeschooling families if you have yet to find your in-person community. So that is a great place to come and ask questions. I will be posting all of the information that we go over here on that Facebook page. Anything that you guys share out, if you need ideas, if you're hitting a roadblock, that is going to be a really good place and resource for you to come and discuss that with us and with your community members. Alright, so I kind of wanted to temperature check the room. So with a show of hands, how many of you are just beginning your journey, you haven't really started, or you're just exploring homeschooling? Welcome to the coolest club in the world. That is like 2/3 of the room, and I'm super happy that you're here. Have you been homeschooling for 1 to 2 years? And you made it back! Congratulations! You got through the thick of it. And then if you've been homeschooling for 3+ years, raise your hand and keep it up. Alright, so I thought there'd be more. That's okay. So remember her face, remember mine. We are hopefully going to be good resources for you. And anybody else you're seeing walking through this building today, do not hesitate to go and make new friends, because they're going to help you during the times that you're feeling overwhelmed. Alright, so I think it's super important when you're first starting homeschooling to think about your why, because if your family is anything like mine, you are going to go through seasons of homeschooling. Things are going to be going really well, things are going to be going smoothly, and then you're going to have days where like, what am I doing? Did I totally make an awful choice by choosing to homeschool? And I think sometimes just reflecting back on why you chose to do it in the first place helps you get through those hard times. So I think it's super important to think about it. And that reason for everybody here is going to be different for a variety of reasons. These are just some examples I hear often from people who are choosing to homeschool. To get more time back with your family, individualized learning, being able to be flexible. We are a family of travelers, so it is so nice not to need permission to just hit the road and go. Safety concerns, religious beliefs, and just the ability to have educational freedom and what your children learn. Before we get to that, I'm going to go over my life. Like I said, I was a public school teacher for 13 years, and my oldest, who is neurodivergent and highly sensitive, was slated to start kindergarten right in the middle of the pandemic when there was still a lot of uncertainty. What was it going to look like? Is it going to be virtual? Was it going to be in person? If it was going to be in person, what was that going to look like? And I decided at the time that I wanted his experience to be as normal as possible, so we were just going to try this out. We were just going to dip my toes in the homeschooling pool and just see how it went. And we did that, and it was the best year we had ever had, and then we just decided to keep going with it. Another thing that I think is important to think about as you're starting your journey is finding your community. So as a new homeschooling family, one of my biggest concerns at the time was, how are my kids going to meet other kids? How are we going to meet other families? Are we just going to be stuck in our home like hermits all day? What are we going to do? And luckily I found a wonderful community called Forest Fridays. They have a table downstairs. I highly suggest you check it out if you didn't yet. And I started to find that our Friday commitments were some of our most favorite parts of the week. We would get to a new, different outdoor location each week. My kids would hop out of the car. It was like Horse Friday day. They were super pumped to wake up and go. They would go play for hours, and what I would see happening was the best part of what my job used to be. And it was the time you would get with other teachers to talk, collaborate. And that was also often the time that would be taken from you as a public school teacher. So it was so nice because there would be little circles of moms, dads, parents, and you'd hear we're trying this week, this isn't working for us, oh my gosh, and my kids are just fighting every time I'm trying to get them to come to do work. And it was like the best planning period ever. And it was so important because there were so many families coming with different perspectives. And I felt like each of us had our own strengths. Having the education background, I felt like I was the person that was like, that's not working, try this, the constant pivoting that I had to go in the classroom. Then we had my friend Angelina, who was the outside of the box thinker, the homeschooler, the person who would see your kid doing something and be like, you know, you can incorporate writing like this, or look at what they're doing, and then safety skills right there. And she was just the most excellent person when it came to figuring out ways to cover skills without needing an actual manual. And then I have my friend Kelly, who is the coordinator of this lovely conference. She is that project-based person who can say, your kid's interested in this, here's 17 different directions you can take it in. Oh, and by the way, they're gonna have an exhibit here in the spring, so if you start in the fall, you'll be ready to do that as your culminating activity. And everybody just brought something different to the table. So if you have not found a community, I really, really, really suggest that you find one. They're the best people to go to when you need to vent, because unfortunately there will be times you may need to do that. And they are also the best community to go to when you want to celebrate some wins, because they are in it with you and they know how exciting it is when your 5-year-old starts to read words and it's the best thing and you did that, and they're the best people to go to celebrate with. And if your family is anything like mine, you're going to notice as homeschoolers that you go through seasons. And some seasons will be great, and you'll be wanting to shout from the rooftops how amazing homeschooling is, how wonderful it's going. And it's going to be days like that. And on the other end of the spectrum, you are going to be biting your tongue from reminding your children that public school enrollment only a few signatures and forms away. And then you're going to get a whole slew of days in between. So it's also just really great, I feel like, in those seasons to have other people to celebrate and to talk with. Alright, so these are the 5 categories that I was talking about. As newer, younger homeschooling families, you may find yourselves in these categories if you're thinking the following. Socialization is something you're concerned about. And this might be something if you're thinking, okay, we're going to homeschool. What are we going to do with other kids? Are there opportunities with other kids? Where are we going to meet other families? What is out there for us so we're not stuck at home in our house all day? That would be one category that I feel like a lot of us have found ourselves in one time or another. Another category is resources and curriculum. If you are just beginning the homeschool journey, it can feel really overwhelming to know what's out there for you as far as what curriculums are out there. Do you even need a curriculum for certain subjects? What co-ops exist? What micro schools exist? What meetups are there in my area? It could feel like a cascade of just a ton of information. Maybe you don't know where to find the information, but I feel like this is another area that we can often find ourselves in when we're first starting out, especially for the children. Third category is engagement. This is a category you might find yourself in if you chose curriculum, if you started your school year, everything seems to be going okay, and then all of a sudden, it stops. And now your son's fighting you on it, when you seem bored with it, where it's like trying to pull teeth to get them to do something that they once did for you happily and easily. This one I feel like is a big one for people with younger children, and this is time scheduling, time management. You have a newborn who naps, you have a preschooler who has swim lessons, you have a first grader that you need to get through the curriculum, and you're not sure how you're going to get it all done. And I would say this is where I spent most of my time in the first 2 years of my homeschooling journey. Because as I said, I have polar opposite children, and my second born is the strong-willed. I won't nap if I don't feel like it. I'm a Sour Patch, I'm sweet, or I'm sour, and I'm nothing in between, and I'm not going to do anything you need me to do. And it was really challenging to figure out how to go about getting stuff in during that time period. And then the last one, if you are transition at some point or another, and this is the self-doubt. This is when you're thinking to yourself, am I making the right choice? Am I cut out for this? Are my kids cut out for this? I was awful in math. How do I think I'm going to end up teaching math? How is this going to work? Am I doing the right thing for my family? I would say there's probably more categories, but these are the 5 we're going to stick with. So what we're going to do, we're going to have some fun today to kind of group up. And I had to adjust things last minute because of the size of the groups. Our groups are going to be a little bit larger, but we do have some space in that little entryway. We have space back here, we have space back here. And then I think we'll open up the floor enough to kind of gather. We're going to end up with 5 groups of people, 5 groups that are going to take a category each. And what I want you to do is I want you to think about, say your category is time or engagement. I want you to think of tips, tricks, ideas, advice, things that you think someone struggling with that category would need to hear or would need to know about. Because believe it or not, even though most of you are brand new homeschoolers, it comes back to that community piece of having people from different perspectives and different backgrounds, and you probably know a lot more about all of those categories than you already realize. So I'm going to give you guys some time. So introverts, again, this is where I apologize, but I promise you will get a lot out of it because you're going to see the importance of having a community of people. And if you don't have one, okay? So I'm gonna try to do this as quickly as I can. I'm gonna need a recorder from each category, and then I'm gonna need somebody who's willing to share when it's time to come back out. So I'm not gonna count up how many we have. I'm just gonna go by looks alone and try to divide you up as best as I can. And then if you guys want to get together, if it's just staying in a cluster like you are, or moving about, I'm going to let you guys decide how it is that you feel most comfortable with that. Let's see. You guys are together? So these first 2 rows here, and the rest of you that are in here, or even in there, can you guys group up? You guys want to kind of get together? Anybody here feel comfortable being a recorder? Anybody a quick writer? Thank you. I appreciate that. These 2 rows, and then everybody in the back with the PDs. Let's keep you guys together. Go back there. Anybody feel recording? Right, just writing that down. This and then those moms back there. Anybody okay to write? Thank you so much. I wish I had like privacy. I'm going to keep this whole section together. Is there anybody that's Are we all together? Oh, okay. Don't begin yet. Oh, you're not Self-doubt. And you guys have any questions?
the whole self-doubt where you right. So I know that most of the things that show it are like your kids who were there last year. With the threatening to enroll in public school, I've noticed, and I've had this like shift where it's like when I feel like I'm about to lose it again, it's like recentering myself because I'll notice that my first grader doesn't perform or he shuts down his brain goes to boost if I'm like consenting. So I will say that I'm not angry because it's hard. This is really hard. It's just let's close the books and walk away.
We're going somewhere
that you're in control and you can just say, hey, let's do something different. Let's do it together. And that has really helped. And then we go back and everything that I've and you know your kids the best. You really do. And I think that they do, whether they tell you or not, they love being with you. You know, even having lunch today, they're all so that's reassuring. It's my mom. So she met
on the phone because extra my child learns better
fair enough.
her daughter's my daughter's birthday.
That was pretty good website for that. I don't know if it's free. You can literally type in what you've done.
I think
it generates. That's a whole nother. I mean, you learn everything to
that's why we're
yeah. So you can literally go like, I know that I'm gonna make a cake, and I'm going to say like I'm gonna sign up for this, and it generates. I have a cake on my phone. I have to work on it. Let me tell you where we fit it in.
What about like you have experience
My husband and I go around all the time, like, homeschooling women, like anywhere we, kind of be like, yeah. So once you put that mindset in, it will lose.
building, they're learning them on this now. They need friends, and it's all incorporated into it. That's why I like down their interest in
Learning everything.
and the
It
grades.
takes time to realize too that everything can do.
And I always text Allison that time. I've seen her, and she does a lot.
we say that kids are different. So Michael, my first grader, I'm a workbook mom right now, but I know my math. He's gonna be more like an unschool because he's really different. Like it's hard to get him to sit. So when you talk about the variability of your kids, and you do that, it's just flexibility. So again, the self-doubt is just you know what's right for your kid, and it's just and it's really hard to understand. I think we think we're going to, but it's really hard.
Yeah, and I kind of say that. No, go
You're frustrated. Thank you.
We're just taking a break.
So Alice and I met last year. I started like this is really cool. I kind of got out of That's another story. Anyway, so anyway, we became like super close. I say sign that you need a lot of
It's like the feeling the dream. Feel the dreams like if you get it and it's because we're all looking for that community or to connect with.
So there.
like the best. You can tell I'm not partial. They're all so great, but like it's just so different having all boys in the house. She'll probably be my hardest one too. Yeah, she'll probably be my I think right now.
I know the majority of you guys are new to homeschooling, but I am super impressed by, I learned some things. I learned about some YouTubes and songs and things that teach about the different kinds of animal classifications. I learned so much myself just walking around this room while you guys were talking. So if any of you want to take this job next year, help me retire from this position, please. Okay, so our first group we're going to talk, and I don't know why that is coming up like that, but our socialization group, which I believe is right here. Anybody want to share out some things you believe we can?
So we were just talking about how often homeschool families ask how we engage our children, and how, if they're missing out on being social with others. And we were talking about how we actually do more than public school. You know, there's more, the days are fluid, it's not rigid. You're meeting up with different families, different people, different locations, whereas school, it's the same people you see every day for years and years and years in the same location. And then we were also talking about not only are they socializing with other children, but other adults, which is something at school they're only socializing. I mean, they're talking, I don't even want to consider it socializing with their teachers, but it's really just their peers. And in these kinds of groups, the children have so much more opportunity to talk to other adults and to socialize with other adults. We talked about asking more thoughtful questions, active listening, how those are also things that go into socializing. Being comfortable asking adults hard and big questions. Some of the people in our group that already are homeschooling have said that they've noticed that homeschool kids tend to ask more thoughtful and just interesting questions that other children may not even think about. And then we were talking about, is it more social being homeschooled? Not being institutionalized, like you have to sit and use your pen for everything, ask to go to the bathroom, can I get a sip of water? And then also as us as adults, we get to socialize more with other people, because if you're a working parent, your kids are at school, then you're only with the people you're working with, or if you're a stay-at-home mom and your kids are at school, you know, you're only seeing a small group. But in these kinds of situations with homeschooling, you're able to socialize more with other adults, which is great. And we also just talked about there's been such a shift in homeschooling opinions from other people over the years. Things have changed very different. I know my cousins were homeschooled, and it was kind of just like homeschool and church, and that was it, you know. And it's just so different now. There's so many resources, as we all have seen. It's pretty incredible. And everybody's, it seems like everybody's thoughts on homeschooling are shifting, not just us as homeschoolers. And then we ended kind of with a wonderful thing she said was, since when was learning supposed to be confined to a classroom? And it wasn't, it just wasn't. So.
Thank you so much. And I guess too, just to add to that, having been in a classroom, I will tell you that yeah, okay, sure, they're socializing, but it's extremely structured. You're being told what to talk about, how long you can talk about it, only with kids your age. So really and honestly, I feel like the socialization you get in a homeschool setting is so much more diverse and more beneficial to our kids. And if you are new to homeschooling, we were talking about it over here, not that you can be expected to field that question very often, but I feel like the most times I've gotten that question about like, oh, look at me how you socialize with kids. That's why we're at the grocery store at 1 p.m. But already the cashier has seen my kids putting food up on a conveyor belt and helping me bag and, oh, is school off today? No, I'm homeschooling. homeschoolers, and then sometimes I feel that question, like, for socialization. Do you think they're really that? You watched them for the last 5 minutes, they've had a conversation with you, they've had a conversation with the guy in aisle 2, and I think and pretty much anybody that wants to interact with us, they are chatterboxes. And yeah, I think the point you made there too is really good. There's not too much of a stigma attached to homeschooling anymore. I think there's more and more people who are doing it. It's less and less considered to be the weird thing to do. And so if you do find yourself worried about that though, sometimes we have people in our families like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? There's lots of ways to socialize your children. Alright, so who do we have next? We have resources and curriculum group. We're
Alright. See if I can read my own writing. So, we talked about dropping curriculum. If it doesn't work for you, you can look for something else. Or when you're using a specific curriculum, skip something if you feel like it's not needed, or be flexible with your kids. Pick what you know your kids will thrive on, specific workbooks, stories, or hands-on, to be example. Curriculum with specific subjects, use a curriculum with specific subjects and maybe not others. Books, etc. based on interests. Go to the library and look at different sections, resources, look at meetup groups, co-ops. Use classes or co-ops for subjects that you don't really feel like teaching. Use technology, apps, learning games. Ask for school enrichment programs when you go to places like the zoo or the parks or museums. Or maybe if they don't have it, then you put it in their head that they might want to start one. Don't be afraid to communicate and talk to the people that run programs and reach out if they know a lot. Use Facebook to find communities. Something I wrote about field trips and meetups, etc. Choose what will benefit for your child's future, etc. If you want secular, secular, what types of philosophies and beliefs. Yes.
I love all those ideas, all those answers. And I know there's a lot of local businesses too, that now that we have such a large amount of homeschoolers in the area, they are way more than willing to create things for homeschool groups as long as you have the interest. So we are running super short on time, so I'm going to say if you join that Facebook group, I will have posts about those businesses and about where that you can find places in your area too that can help you cover those, check those boxes out, what you want to teach. Alright, we have engagement next. Where's my engagement group here?
We could, I just have a list, so use toys and senses to help and keep them engaged. Breaking up lessons based on their attention spans. Change up your location, maybe go to a library, diner, outside, this type of museum. Maybe a reward system like a pom-pom jar. You move one pom-pom over here as they finish something maybe. And then rewards, like could be shopping. Creative lessons, using outside versus inside, or if it's science, it can be done outside learning. Give them choices and opinions about what they want to do. Like, what would you like to do next? Community, learning from others, positive reinforcement, and being a cheerleader. Recognize engagement and keep going with that. Pull back or change if they're not engaged. Watch different YouTube videos to learn. Dr. Synox, Wild Crafts. A good reader. If they're not a good reader, use maybe learning videos from different websites. You could also do songs to learn or memorize, play games, or taking a break and resetting as a family just to get more refreshed.
Thank you so much. I found in my own experience that sometimes just taking a week break from whatever it is that you're working on and just spend more time outside and less time in the books, sometimes it's just enough of a reset to get them going again. Also, if you had really little, so Jack Hartman on YouTube. He's just the cutest, most lovely little grandfather who does all sorts of raps and songs for every phonics topic, math topic, all of it. And as corny as he is, man, my kids have loved every video that they've ever watched with Jack. Alright, we have scheduling and time management, my favorite. Where are we at? Back there, right? Go ahead.
We don't have that many, but, we talked about, a pocket chart on a wall, having like visual, using windows of time, like tag teaming, splitting it between parents, like if you have a little one, versus an older one. Setting expectations of the day or moment, so telling them this is what we need to accomplish. And then, I guess, we talked about trying to like avoid pushback, so you could get like this stuff done in a lot of time. So like don't calling, like, not calling it school, asking them to teach you.
Okay, I did wanna say something here. Oh, so like I said, I had that really strong, little, awesome little guy. And what I would try to do is include him as much as I could. So if we're playing a math game, he got to roll the dice, he got to spin for older brother. It was a lot easier to include him in the content area subjects, because if it was science or social studies, most generally it's very hands-on. We were outside, we were doing things. When it came to the reading and math times that I felt like I really needed to sit down with my son, what I found super helpful is I used to have these little things, and it's not a new concept, but I would have just kind of newer things, newer activities, which ended up being a lot of what was like shoved in an Easter basket or a stocking stuffer or things that grandparents bought. And I would have like day of the week bins, and so only on Mondays could he play with the puzzle, the train set, and we rotated through it, and it definitely gave us enough time to get through what we needed to get through during that portion of the time. You can use nap times to get those core content, like the meat of what you need to do. And also, really great point I heard back there is when you're worried about getting through it, make sure you're also understanding how much time you actually need. Okay, because the younger your children are, the less time they're gonna need to sit down and do the work. I think there's something, I mean, there's a bunch of different things you can Google, but like, if you're a kindergartner or first grader, you can easily be done with everything you need in 40 minutes, 45 minutes in a day. So don't set these super high standards for yourself, because I never, for kindergarten for my son, we just did wordless activities and like some things with numbers, and that kid can read like the wind. You don't have to put so much pressure on yourself. Yes.
I'm wondering if there's a better time, like for littles, like in the morning or at night, or more of a retention span, or it depends on the kid?
I've heard varying things from people, and again, the creative community can be really helpful. For most of us, I would say if you need them to sit and work, the morning's probably going to be your best bet, and the afternoon's going to be a really good time for all those other subjects that you can kind of leave your house for or do more, activity. Okay, and then the last one is self-doubt.
So we had a few tips and tricks for conquering self-doubt. So one is friend a friend. If you have a friend who also homeschools, or a family member, or just someone who's done it either before you or is doing it with you, reach out to them. Another one is recenter yourself, or take 5 step back. You don't have to conquer that second maybe. Right? Take a breath. Another one is kind of looking at history, seeing how before public schooling came about, most learning was through the community. Another one's pivot. So if something isn't working, change it. You don't have to follow it exactly. And then the other one is thinking outside the box, or finding teachable moments in everyday life.
That's great. Input. I think the most important thing to remember about this, if you find yourself in this category, is there's nothing wrong with learning how to do things with them. They need to see that. They need to see that learning just doesn't automatically stop because you're an adult. So if you feel doubtful that you can cover a certain topic, learn it with them. That's the best thing that they can see. And then I also feel like some of us sometimes doubt if we're meant to do this or if we can do this, but you are the first teacher. I know that's said all the time. If you taught them how to use the potty, you taught them how to sleep in a bed, you taught them how to eat, you can do anything. You can teach them anything. So don't, if you find yourself creeping into that doubt, don't let it go. You are more than capable. You are the best person for the job. Because as a teacher, it took me till November to learn about those kids, and you know every hair on their head, every freckle on their face. You were the best person for the job. Look at that. I still got it. We got like 4 minutes left. Okay. So what I want to do at the tail end here is I just want to remind you a couple things. During this process, give yourself grace. Like I said, you're going to have seasons that are tough. And when I look back on, oh man, did I have a difficult beginning with a newborn that never slept and was colicky and had tongue ties and was just a hot mess. And when I look back on that time, I don't remember that. I don't remember that at all. I remember the good stuff. I remember being able to be at the playground at 1 p.m. with my kids on a gorgeous day. I remember being able to get through the work we needed to get to and go right to the creek. I remember the good stuff. So just give yourself grace during this time. Plan and pencil. It's great to have plans, but be ready to pivot if you need to. Remember your why, and obviously find your community. So please, if you haven't had a chance to meet any more people, do that today before you leave here. Any questions, any other concerns that were not addressed here today? Okay, on your way out, if you can hit that QR code, and if you want to join, I'll have all this information. If I didn't collect your papers too, I think there's 2 groups I can't reach. Make sure you find me. I will list all of this stuff on the Facebook group plus additional ideas. Thank you. And